Happy New Year and welcome back to the final part of the Toplining Fundamental series. Today we're bringing everything we've looked at so far together, and do check out the description below for a playlist containing all songs from this series.
Let's quickly summarize everything we've discussed in the series so far. We first talked about melody in various melodic shapes, the importance of the starting pitch, as well as the overall pitch range within a section. We then looked into the importance of rhythm. Simplicity, space, and number of syllables are all concepts we will use today. Finally, we looked at some of the songwriting fundamentals which will drive today's video, starting with the energy within a song. And now what?
Last time we explored how the energy of a typical pop song builds across the various sections. But how do we achieve this?
We previously looked at a melody, or more specifically, how pitch can be utilized for top-line writing. As you probably already guessed, it is also one of the fundamental ways to affect the energy in a song. Starting a melody on a lower pitch would generally have less energy than one on a higher pitch. Similarly, a melody with less movement, meaning less varying pitches, would also feel on the calmer side than one with more movement.
We can show a similar application of rhythm, the other fundamental building block that we've looked at. Less syllables and more space would feel less intense than a section with many syllables and less space.
Tonight let's start a masquerade. I'm coming over, but nobody knows my little secret.
We could also think of the same ideas in terms of tension and release.
조금씩 보이는 new world. 경계선을 넘어선 그 공간, 더 아름다운 풍경을 in my eyes.
In fact, we can use the ideas we previously introduced to structure our top line from start to finish.
There are multiple ways to make a top line, of course, but let's start with the intro and gradually go through each section one by one. Before we start, we should note that a lot of these things strongly depend on the song you're working on. However, we are generalizing the topic since "it depends" isn't really of great help when you're starting out.
Generally, the beginning of a song would be relatively low in energy, and thus we can start low in pitch with more space and less syllables. We could choose to utilize only one of these.
Run along with the ghost, jumping between every verse, the multiverse, and ready for our universe.
Or both.
I'm not your door, no need to talk. You never know what you have done before.
The goal here is to set the vibe for the song, but still have plenty of options to increase the energy as we go. At the same time, we still want the intro to catch the listener's attention. Balancing out these things carefully can be quite a challenge.
The second half of the verse is even more interesting. It is very important that we pick the energy up here, as the song could otherwise get boring. For this, it's important we utilize the techniques that we already mentioned in the other episodes and build some contrast between the A and the B part of the verse. Rhythm plays an especially important part here. If our A verse has long spaced out notes, we can pick up the energy in the B verse with shorter notes and less space.
유난히 긴 밤 가끔 깨고 싶지 않아 꿈을 헤매곤 해 And we could understand 이제 널 만나기 위해 태어났나 봐 And we could be the part I know dreams will come true
In addition, we could start verse B on the upbeat of the previous section while starting verse A on the downbeat.
Take a sip and sorry my you will see a whole new world 있잖아 난 너가 좋아하는 게 뭔지 알고 깊숙하게 숨겨놨지 넌 소리를 지를지도 몰라 아주 고통스런 짐승같이
This way, the listener instantly notices we're picking up the energy because we're suddenly filling out the space that we had previously established.
Similarly, we want to be fairly conservative with the pitch here too. Line, arc, and wave melodies, as well as rap or spoken lines, can work really well in this section since they suit the feeling of telling a story.
In many many K-pop songs, the pre-chorus is more of a singing section. It introduces a particularly nice contrast if our verse was rap or one-note oriented. Oftentimes, we'd hear an ascending melody right at the end of this section as it perfectly builds the energy up for the chorus. Rhythm-wise, these parts will often be rather connected and sometimes feel more flowy than the preceding sections.
Now let's talk about arguably the most important part of each song, the chorus. Most K-pop choruses heavily emphasize the downbeat. Depending on the pre-chorus, however, we can also start the chorus top line with an anacrusis, similar to the B verse, and lead into the downbeat. Often there's a small break in the instrumental right before the chorus hits, which can be utilized for that. Alternatively, you can use this break to introduce a hooky phrase, and you can be rather creative with the vocal delivery. We commonly see a few patterns in K-pop choruses, and we're going to dedicate a whole video on this topic very soon. One important note to make now, however, is that choruses are often built on repetition to enhance the catchiness of a song.
The second verse is the first section in which we try to take the energy down again, as staying on the high energy of the chorus for too long would get boring. However, take too much away and the listener would, well, also get bored. Let's look at the graph from earlier again. In verse 1a, we could pick a low energy melody by choosing both pitch and rhythm with low energy. However, verse 2 is a great place to mix these up. We could have a low in pitch but verbose top line. In fact, a lot of second verses in K-pop are rap heavy for this exact reason. Or we could keep the pitch high, but introduce space once again.
I can make you feel like a queen all night. Level mind and soul, be not no bubble out of night. Need no gentleman, need no gentleman. Need no gentleman, need no gentleman.
The bridge is often somewhat similar to the pre-chorus. However, this varies a lot from song to song, and you have even more freedom here when it comes to the melody. Most of the time, the bridge starts relatively low in energy, and then gradually ascends to prepare us for the final chorus. Once again, ascending melodies work particularly well here, both for the lead vocal melody and any high note ad-libs.
Of course, all of these are just starting points. However, they should give you a good idea of how to utilize various tools and approaches to writing a full top line. And as we have mentioned many times before, once you get comfortable with the rules, you can have a lot of fun breaking them too.
Now go and create and let us know how it went down in the comments below.